guys, what's up? Welcome back to another planty video. My name is Shannon and this is Planted 386. If this is the first time you have stopped by, I really appreciate you for clicking and choosing to spend your time with me. If you're returning, you guys will never know how much this little community means to me over here. Every time you comment, I look forward to it. I just love this little community on YouTube. I love posting new videos. Everything has just been so great over here, and I just want to thank you guys all for your kindness. Today's video is exciting. We are going to be doing the Monstera Collection today. I have been talking about it for a while, and it's just a matter of figuring out which Monsteras I have. Like, I know roughly what I have, but it's always that thing of going through your collection, making sure you don't miss anything, making sure that you don't overlook anything. I'm sure I will. If I do, I'll post it in a reel or something like that. But yeah, without further ado, I'm excited to get into it. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay guys, so the first one is my variegated Monstera adansonii. This little guy at one point, believe it or not, was actually like on a moss pole, well, a cocoa pole, and was doing incredible, beautiful leaves, nice sized leaves as well. But the issue that I've had with this plant since day one is it has had issues with mealybugs, and I don't really understand it. I don't typically have issues with mealybugs in my collection, and the only times that I've ever had mealybugs is when I have brought in a plant from a private seller, unfortunately. This was one of those cases. I did change out the substrate. I thought that that would help take care of it, in addition to all the other things, treatments, and they just kept popping back up. So I ended up chopping it back. I took a bunch of cuttings, and I've had not the best of luck getting this restarted. So this is where we are. To be honest, it's just sitting in my spare bedroom windowsill, and I just kind of take it for what it is now. I'm too afraid to kind of add it back into my collection. So this is this guy. It is in my semi-hydro, and just like a plastic cup that I got from, actually this was from the Sing Out Loud Festival 2023. It was such a good time. Anyways, that is that guy. Not much to write home about. Let's get on to the next one. Next is my tiny Thai constellation. I do have two Thai constellations. The story behind this one, and the reason that I hang on to this one, is really more for sentimental purposes, if I'm being honest. Okay, so this was purchased back when these were still super expensive. Honestly, you guys, that wasn't that long ago. If you've been around in the plant community, it's amazing how quickly the trends can shift, so on and so forth. But I bought this actually, I think I've had it, I think I got it in March of last year. So over a year now, but I bought it as a tissue culture. I paid $35 for it. And when this thing came in, I had never acclimated a tissue culture before. I knew nothing about them. And to be honest, I really didn't think he was going to make it, because I didn't even have my cabinets at this time. I literally left him in like a cloche out on in my pergola, and it just little by little it kept thriving on to where we are now. So I'm really more just shocked that I was able to keep this guy alive, and he gave me the most sweetest new leaf, this little creamy, gorgeous leaf with a little fenestration. So we're moving up in the world. He doesn't have any of his original leaves, but let me just tell you, it was very, very tiny. If you've ever worked with a tissue culture, which I'm sure you have, you know how sensitive and delicate they are. And so, yeah, it's exciting to see him doing well, and to see him still here. Do I need a second Thai constellation? No, but I am quite proud of him, and he's beautiful. He's beautiful. So the second one I will probably have to take B-roll of, because he is right here. You see him in every single video. He actually just put out a leaf. Can you guys see it in the frame? Yeah, right here. This is his newest leaf. We have another leaf over here, but I will show you guys a clip. I'll get clips of all of these kind of close up. This one was purchased after this one. They had finally, it was like the first time they jumped down in price. So we're talking going from hundreds of dollars to, I think this guy was about $100 when I got him. I believe it was in June of last year. And I think it was about the size of this one now when I got it. I do have photos up on my Instagram if you're curious. But the reason that one came into the picture is because I really, really wanted this plant for the longest time. Like, it is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. I love Monstera. I love watching Monstera grow. So it was deeper than the hype of the plant. But anyways, I really didn't think this one was going to make it. I really did not think that I would be able to keep this alive. I didn't have enough faith in myself. And so John actually purchased this one for me a couple months after I had this one. This also, from a tissue culture, had taken such a long time to get going that I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a million years before I ever have like the Thai constellation of my dreams, right? So he spoiled me. He got me this one, and I absolutely adore it. Like I said, I will pop in a clip. I should have probably popped in a clip by now. And to be honest, it's taken quite a while for that one to get where it is. So it is a slower growing Monstera for sure. I'm sure if I put one outside, I would see much quicker growth, but I just love looking at them. Okay, so this is kind of a sneak peek. You can get a better look at the stem on this one, a few of the other leaves. I do have her in this really cool like terracotta pot. She lives behind my couch. She does get this light here in addition to the lights of the house, but not a ton of browning on the Tycon, which I appreciate. Another leaf over there. And yeah, she's just thriving, you know, little by little she gives me a leaf, and I love her in the background of the videos. This is her most recent leaf. Beautiful. Both of them gave me this gorgeous, like, creaminess. So what I think I'm going to do is eventually I am going to repot this one into a bit larger of a vessel. And I think when I do that, I'm just going to incorporate both of them in the same pot. And my goal is to get a huge, massive, beautiful Tycon, similarly to my green form that is outside. Okay, you guys, next is my Monstera albo. I left her as is to show you exactly what I'm working with here. Okay, so basically, I've had this plant. This was pretty much the plant that really got me into the rare plant game. So when I bought this, it was June of last year, and I bought it from Blue Moon. This was actually my first like ever interaction at like a beautiful greenhouse with, you know, all the rare plants. My love of plants really started with Monstera and Calathea, but I got my green form Monstera, and I went to go research how to care for it, and that's when I saw photos of the variegated form. this is also how I ended up finding Blue Moon Tropical. So like this plant is super duper special to me. It has taken quite a long time to become even what it is, unfortunately. And I think that's because of the amount of white that is on this specific specimen. But I absolutely love it. I know it browns, I know it gets kind of crispy, but in my experience, it actually takes quite a bit of time for the leaves to get crispy. I don't add silica or I don't really dabble into that. If you watched my recent repot and chat, I kind of was talking about how I prefer to just kind of keep it as simple as possible when it comes to growing. And so while this leaf has some browning on it, it is the oldest leaf on this vine, so it's kind of to be expected. I had her in semi-hydro for a long time, and she did fine in it. She didn't brown. She seemed good. The only issue was it wasn't growing. She hasn't really put out anything new in quite a while, so I was kind of wondering if it was a lack of nutrients sort of thing, but this is actually 2 cuttings in 1 pot. I did chop up my main vine, which it did get to be probably, I would probably say like 8 leaves long, if you will. I've sold a couple, and then the rest I just stuck into this pot. I actually have two pots of albo. So this is the first one. This is my pride and joy. This is really the one that I want to see take off, and I would like to see really become something. I'm sure if I put it on a moss pole, it would appreciate that as well. It has put out this beautiful aerial root. I'm not sure you guys are going to be able to see it, but overall she's doing well, and I do love this plant. I can't say that it grows in the same way for me as the green form or even my Tycon. I would say that they're all different in their own way, but what a stunner, right? What an absolutely stunning specimen. Haley over at Blue Moon has some of the most beautiful Monstera albos that I have ever seen. My dog just shifted the camera. Thanks, Sam. So here is my other one. It's not got a ton of white on it. This is actually a leaf from the previous one that I showed you. But all of the other parts of it, with the exception of this one leaf, is a cutting that I got from a friend of mine at one of the plant swaps. So funny thing is she gave it to me with this leaf here. It just has that one little speckle of variegation, and she was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I just, do whatever you want to do with it. And I was like, okay, cool. So I put it in this pot, and I added this cutting from my other Monstera just to kind of see where this took us. The leaf from my original Monstera turned into just a green leaf. We'll see what happens with that. And then this other one, the one that she gave me, which is these 3 leaves, has actually consistently given me more and more variegation as we go along. So that is exciting. We will again see where this takes us. My hope, similarly to the Thai constellation, is to eventually have just one huge, massive bucket of albo. Okay, next is Monstera aurea. I must say, I love this plant so much deeper than I thought that I would. That sounds, okay. I knew that I wanted this plant. I knew that it was a wish list plant. It had been a wish list plant for a while. I did not realize that I was going to love it as much as I love it. Does that make sense? Okay, so basically this was a purchase. This was an online purchase from Facebook Marketplace from a local, just a local person around here, and I think I paid $35 for a 3-leaf cutting. I believe this was the top cut. And my oh my, I feel like that was the best 35 bucks I've ever spent. Maybe not ever, but pretty close. Like, this is so beautiful, you guys. Like, I literally cannot get over it. So she's a little dusty, for sure. She could use a bit of a dusting. She does have a sweet little new leaf coming. How sweet. But I just absolutely love the variegation that she puts out. I just think it is so beautiful. Sometimes it's like a little creamier. Sometimes it's a little bit on the greener side. So yeah, I literally can't get over her. This spotting you see here is actually because I had put her next to a cactus and it kept like poking holes through the leaf. So yeah. Anyways, I need to give her a little dusting for sure. If you see pitter patter of feet or hear pitter patter of feet, it is my dogs. They think that every time I film, it's time to play or tug of war or whatever. And if you film and you have pups, you probably know what I mean. Yeah, I don't experience a ton of browning on this plant. I definitely experience the most browning on my Tycon. All of these are in soil at this point. However, some of them have grown in semi-hydro prior to me moving them in soil. Like, I had my albo, like I said, in a semi-hydro for a long time, and I thought it did really well in there. Actually, Monstera, I have good luck growing Monstera really in any substrate. I just feel like it's one of those genus that it's just so, it's so kind. It's so kind. If you're a new plant parent and you have recently purchased a nice little Monstera, I think you're going to fall in love with it. I really do. It makes total sense why they are such a supreme choice of houseplant. They're just amazing. I know that you guys like to see the puppies, so since they're here causing a ruckus, I figured I would pop them on camera so you can see them. Sam, are you having fun? Are you having fun, JMO? Do you like to be on camera? I swear, they love the camera. As soon as they hear the beep of the GoPro, it's like, oh, it's time. Okay, next is Peru. Monstera Peru. I always wanted the variegated form of this. I never ended up getting it, and I think it's just because, if I'm being honest, you guys, and probably why it's taken me so long to do the Monstera video, is I'm kind of shying away from the plants that want to climb, that need to climb in order to produce beautiful leaves. It's just, when you have a large collection, that is such a difficult thing, at least for me, to keep up with, maintaining moss poles. So you will see a lot of cocoa poles in my collection. There are a few plants that I have on like an actual moss pole that I am trying to grow nicely. But what I'm finding with a lot of my phyllos and monsteras, I'm just kind of getting to the place where if it's not bringing me joy anymore, I'm no longer going to continue to do all the things, and I'm going to begin either planting these in my yard as part of our landscape, or I am going to pass them along via the plant swaps that we do monthly, and this is one of them. This is one of them. So I bought her, I've had her about a year. She grew a ton for me the first year that I had her. You're gonna see like some browning and things like that. Just over the course of owning her, I moved her into like a darker corner, and she doesn't love it there, but I don't really have another spot for her. So it's just kind of one of those things where I want to see this plant thrive. I know it has the potential to be absolutely beautiful. I just don't know if it's for me anymore. And with that being said, even though I think the variegated form is so, so beautiful, I'm just not sure that it's something that I want to maintain. Does that make sense, guys? Are you the same way? I know some people absolutely love the phyllos and the monsteras and they don't mind the pole. There's a lot of people that do, actually. I'm into the Hoyas, I'm into the cacti, I'm into the anthuriums, I'm into the plants that like just want to grow and be big and beautiful without all that. So I at first thought maybe I would put her in the yard as part of the landscape, but I think she's in good enough shape to where I will dust off her leaves and bring her to the plant swap. And I know that there's going to be someone at the plant swap that's just going to look at this and think, wow, you know? So that's what it's about for me, is the general love of the plant. And if I'm not the one that's genuinely loving on the plant, then I need to pass it along to someone that will, you know? And so that's where I'm at with this one, but I thought while I have her, I will show you her. Okay, you guys, next is an exciting one. This one is one that I do want to grow on a nice pole, get it going. I do like that this one seems to be a little bit slower, similarly to like my Thai constellation. That's both good and bad, right? Like we definitely love to see those new leaves and it's so exciting, but just on the practical side of things, a slower growing plant means that I have more time in between doing all the things that we just talked about. So yeah, I've been really enjoying growing this plant. He is definitely a light chaser. That's why he's kind of like leaning in all this direction. It's to chase the light. This is its newest leaf. So we still haven't reached, you know, the place of the cool claw leaf, but I love how this guy evolves over time and how it looks so different from its juvenile form to the mature form. And so yeah, I'm just excited to see where this takes us. I absolutely love the shape of this leaf. I know some people have mentioned that this plant doesn't really get exciting until it gets to its mature form, but for me, I love these elongated leaves. I just think they're so beautiful. And in addition to the shape, they also have this beautiful like venation kind of going down. And I just think that they are so beautiful, so beautiful. So yeah, after this one kind of gets settled, I'll just continue to use this little guy here. It's not really putting out any aerial roots at this time, so I'm not really too concerned about putting it on a huge pole. Not yet. I will probably top this off with some moss, so that way the little aerial roots that start to come out will have something to go into, and I'll just continue to train it to go up this little stick until we're done with the stick, and then we'll go from there. So far, it's seemingly happy and doing really well. Let's check out the roots. We do have some nice roots in there. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see them, but there is a nice one right here going all the way to the bottom of the pot. There's some at the bottom of the pot. I don't know if you guys can see them or not, but it's doing really well nonetheless. And I just have it in my soil mixture. So won't be long before she's due for a little bit of an up pot, and yeah, I'll probably let her give me a couple more leaves. Just depends on how quickly it dries out, honestly. It's kind of how I gauge a lot of my repots. How quickly is it drying out? There's a lot that goes into it, but that's a big factor. Okay guys, so for the next one, we kind of have to go on a little bit of a field trip. I could have picked this one up and moved it, but I just think it's best to leave her right where she is. This is Monstera standleyana albo. I did find this at a big box store. Again, it's not really one to write home about. It doesn't excite me. As soon as this started to grow out and I realized like all this tendrily mess, I just, no, I can't. So another one that I'm going to be passing along as a project or a rehab. It's not really a rehab. I mean, it's doing well. It just needs, it needs a better situation. Okay, now this is one that I'm pretty proud of. This is my Monstera esqueleto. And she just put out that crazy leaf way up there. I'm not loving it, but I have already chopped her, as you can see, and that's kind of what she put out. I do need to extend this pole, but honestly, you guys, like, I'm already 2 extensions in, and it's so top heavy. I need to figure out if I put the 3rd extension, which I think I'm going to do. I just need to figure out a way to anchor this a little bit better before I do that, because she's definitely, as you can see, leaning. I am experimenting too with air layering. The thing is I never ever keep this moss pole like consistently wet. So I have no idea if the roots ever grew into the pole. Like, I really rarely ever move this plant for obvious reasons. But it is on my list of things to do before the weather changes. I know that doesn't really matter a ton when you're growing indoors, but I just prefer, I do kind of prefer to make big chops like that while we still have some ambient humidity. And yeah, anyways, that's her. I'm forever impressed by her. I love her leaves. Oh, she's so beautiful. Okay, and so now we're outside in the pergola because I do have a couple of them out here. This is one of them, my Monstera adansonii, the green form. And honestly, I know a lot of people like enjoy growing these up poles, but personally, I really enjoy watching it grow as a vining plant. So I just kind of have it on this little shelf, and it's actually doing really, really well. This plant I actually started from one single vine, probably about this long. And while it's taken some time to get here, I'm happy that we're here, and I think I'm just going to continue to let it do as it wants to do and grow as it wants to grow. I do have better luck growing this plant outside versus inside, and I'm thinking about moving the variegated one out here to just see how it does. I've never actually grown the variegated one outside, but just seeing the results that I've had with the green form, I feel like it would probably really enjoy it. Okay, let's get into the good stuff. This is my green form, Monstera deliciosa. She lives outside, and she is one of my oldest plants. I would say she is, I want to say, I got her in March of 2023. Yes, I believe that's right. I do have photos of her when I first got her on my Instagram, so you can kind of see how far we've come. But yes, I am absolutely obsessed with her. This is the most recent leaf. I guess that's why I lingered on that one for so long, because it's just so majestic. I finally got all the fenestrations, which is so exciting. And yeah, I guess I just will take you around so you can kind of see the different leaves that she's putting out. I do have to chop her roughly about every 6 months or so, depending. In the summertime, I could honestly probably chop her twice, but I have already made a pretty good chop on her, and since chopping her, she's put out these beautiful, amazing leaves, you guys, and I just, honestly, coming out here and sitting, she's actually running out of space. That will be where I make my next cuts, is on this side. I think there's 4 vines in here, but just coming out here and sitting in the pergola, this is just such a joy to hang out with. And She's one of my most treasured plants. I just love her. I just love her. Things grow really well out in the pergola. So she also makes it all winter long. I do not bring her inside. She just hangs out through the winter. If it gets really cold, I will cover her with a blanket, but for the most part, she just acclimates. I figure while we're out here, we'll cover my Rhaphidiphoras as well, just because I don't really have enough of them to warrant their own video, but I do want to add them into my collection series. So I think this is a good spot to put them at the end of the Monstera video. So if you're only here for Monsteras, you can click out. But if you're curious about the Rhaphidiphoras that I have, stay tuned. Okay, so my first one is Rhaphidiphora hayi. This is one that I have had for a while, definitely well over a year. And in the right conditions, this plant grows like a weed. I love the way that it will just cling to whatever it is that you want to grow it on. And I have propagated this before. I've just taken like a cutting, and it did take for me. So in my experience, this has been relatively easy to propagate. And yeah, I just have it in this pot down here. As you can see, like it's starting to really take over. This is the second summer that I've had it. And yeah, I put it on this super cool piece of driftwood. I know it's kind of hard to see it all, but yeah, it's just on this super cool piece of driftwood, and I've just kind of wrapped it around and around and around, and I would like to potentially take some of this and put it somewhere where it can kind of grow freely, because there is something absolutely stunning about these leaves to me. This beautiful bluish, silvery, like they're just stunning. Okay, and then right next to it, I have my Rhaphidiphora tetrasperma. This is actually a cutting that I took off the main mother vine and stuck it back in here with the hope of kind of filling out this pole. The thing is this plant was massive. Like, it was doing amazing. And then over the course of the winter, I had moved it inside, and it really just went downhill once I brought it inside. I honestly think it was too dark. I had it in too dark of a spot. This plant seems to really love the humidity. So what I think I'm gonna do here is chop this whole thing up, and I'm going to restart it. I'm just going to restart the entire thing. I'm going to take as many cuttings as I can and get this going again in the proper way, because it is one that I do enjoy growing up a pole. And it's one that I've realized doesn't require like a proper moss pole. Like, it just needs some stability. So easy enough for me. Yeah. That's my plan with this gal. Okay, next is Rhaphidiphora decursiva. This one is so cool, like so cool. Definitely one that I want to see thrive. I did purchase this one from Blue Moon, and it was in a hanging pot, I believe. And I really wanted, or maybe it wasn't in a hanging pot, and I put it in a hanging pot because I thought, oh, well, I would love to see this in a hanging pot. I have seen them before in like a hanging pot, and it looked so beautiful. Well, it ended up doing a whole lot of nothing while it was in the hanging pot. Didn't like it at all. So I took it out of there and I put it into this long square pot. And now it is starting to put out beautiful leaves. I don't really know what happened here, guys. Honestly, probably being jammed up to the window. The window got too hot, let's just be honest. But it does have another one coming, and I think I'm going to move this outside. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. Take this, move it out where it's going to be happier. This is just our spare bedroom window, so it doesn't get a ton of light in here, and it's kind of a forgotten, like, I remember the plants in here, but they're not like as catered to as the ones in the planty corner. So yeah, that's my plan with this guy. But aren't these leaves beautiful? All right, you guys, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for checking out my Monstera collection. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't really know why it took me so long to get my Monstera collection documented, but I'm glad that we were able to get it done. And yeah, I've been thinking about, I still have my syngoniums to do, my epipremnums to do, which I don't have a ton of them. Maybe it's something I could loop into one video, but if that sounds interesting, let me know. I also have been thinking about doing an update to some of the Hoyas that I showed you in my Hoya collection, because I have seen some amazing growth this summer. But yeah, this is the time that I'm gonna ask you politely to subscribe. It's a free way that you can help out my channel, and it just tells you whenever I upload. I am also on TikTok and Instagram if you are looking for more daily content, because I do upload over there a little more frequently than on YouTube. And yeah, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Say bye, JMO. Bye, guys. Bye, guys.